and she was hitting the dude with the 2-piece and soda boy. She was giving the Masvidal every time. Bit of John Jones, cha-cha in the leg. You get in too close, bah, bah. And there's like old people coming out, you know, like holding their coffees like, oh, what's this disturbance? What is this? She's like, could someone please call the police? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bulletproof for BJJ podcast. I am JT. I'm here with the ever-present Joey. We're catching up, man. There's a lot to catch up on. There's been a lot of stuff happen in the last little while.
We don't actually catch up that much because all we do is podcast.
Pretty much. Yeah, and we've got to stay on point, deliver the content you need. But
say that. Love podcasting.
Love podcasting.
Love podcasting for you guys.
Straight out the gate, Adele Fornarino. Adele Fornarino.
Adele, yeah.
I love that. He's
Adele.
like, I'm such a big fan of Adele. I'm like, get her name right, idiot. But
it works.
Oh, Adele with the 23-second Aoki Lock against Tubby BJJ.
So,
who's
number
number one?
Submission in who's number one?
Yeah, she tied with Nicky Ryan.
Wow.
Nicky Ryan got the 23-second.
Wow. And that was her who's number one debut.
It was.
Right?
Yeah. And
Cool.
she stepped in for Fionn. So I think Fionn might have had an injury or there was a reason that Fionn couldn't compete. On 2 weeks' notice.
I mean, even that's huge, being able to step in for Fionn, right?
Yeah, and that's just because...
It's like, hey, Kanye can't perform. You're up.
Yeah. All right, Kid Cudi, here we go.
Yeah.
But no, she stays in shape. She's always in shape. And I think she actually might have slightly gone up a weight class.
She's smaller than Fionn, right?
Yes,
like
significantly, yeah. Like it's probably a 10 kilo difference or more.
Okay.
And yeah, dude, it was so impressive because I think people know Adele's great, but then for her to just come in and just see you later, everyone's like, oh shit, you're on notice.
Yeah.
Everybody's on notice.
I mean, Adele is like, she's not as known obviously as Fionn.
No.
She's new to black belt, right?
Yeah, but she's established, right? She got silver at Worlds. She was very close to being world champion, but maybe got a little gamed in the final, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's experience. It was her first world championship at black belt, but she's brown belt world champion. And, you know, trials winner and most likely looking to be another trials winner.
And competed, right? Last
Competed
ADCC.
ADCC,
Yep.
but she fought Fionn first round.
Right.
And
Tough
Fionn
draw.
was on a tear
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But now that they have the lighter division in the ADCC, that's pretty much like custom for her.
So they've split into three now? For
Yes.
women's categories?
Yes.
Nice.
So that's awesome. So very excited. We sponsor Adele. We love her. We're huge fans. And she's following the program. Going to have a chat to her later today. And yeah, I'm just excited to see. I think she's going to be ADCC champ this year in that new weight category.
Legend.
Yeah.
I like it. She's got swagger.
She does.
In like her
She's got
style
that-
of jiu-jitsu and
daddy energy.
yeah. So what's this daddy reference?
Yeah.
I've seen it get thrown around.
No, because I think it's like, you know, there needs to be a certain boldness with a champion. And so for her, she was like, you know, it's like that call me daddy type thing. And, you know, she was rocking the hat and she came in confident. She's like, you
What
know,
was the hat?
the hat said daddy on it. And she's
okay.
like, I'm bringing that big daddy energy, you know, like
Yeah.
you're gonna have to call me daddy, you know what I mean? And she
Yeah.
had it on her nails as well. And it was really cool, right? Because she is actually quite a modest human.
Yeah.
But she's funny. She's good. And so I think we're going to see more of that coming out more and more. And yeah, I'm here for it.
Awesome.
So good.
Go with Delhi.
Oh, yes. So Joey, talk to us about your training right now. You said you got a little bit of a thing going on.
So for the first time ever in my jiu-jitsu career, I have decided to, well, not decided to, I'm following a structure with my training.
Oh, yeah.
First time ever. So to put this in context for the newer folks,
Okay.
I've been doing this shit for like 13 years or something.
Yes.
I'm a black belt
Yep.
of a couple of years.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, you got me. I'll do something. I'll write some shit down.
Some structure.
I'll think about this. I'll have a plan. And so I formulated my plan when I was doing some long driving over the Christmas break.
Cool. Points of reflection.
Yeah, I usually endeavor to have like a day of, like yourself, like goal setting and reflection and sort of thing for the year ahead around Christmas, New Year.
Yep.
But we're really busy and, you know, kids and stuff. It's a different time of year
Of course.
these days.
Yes.
But I found myself in the car solo. I was on the road for like 4 hours and I just felt compelled to start thinking about it. So I wrote this plan down in my notes.
You were driving with your feet while you were just...
Yeah, that's right. I wrote the plan down while I was driving in the notes of my phone. And so it's beautiful because it lends itself to, like, I didn't have the ability to come up with anything super complicated.
Fair.
Which speaks to me.
Yeah.
Right? Simple stuff that I can do.
Yep. Man, I'm so pumped because I am hydrated by our good friends at Sodi. Sodi are an Australian brand who are keeping all the best athletes hydrated, or maybe you're just a thirsty human and you are trying to be a bit less thirsty. This is my favorite flavor. This is salty grapefruit, seriously underrated, very fresh. Now, essentially, we are human walking oceans. We need to have sodium, potassium, and magnesium in our blood. And that's what these guys have done. So Jason Kale at Sodi have put together this beautiful product, and you, my friends, can get a discount when you order with the discount code Bulletproof15 for 15% off. You can stay very hydrated.
And I think I've been influenced a lot by the guys I've been training with.
Right.
Coach Paul, you know, I did a private with him last year.
Oh, okay, cool.
I've never done a jiu-jitsu private before.
Holy shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I was like, hey, Paulie, can we work on something? He's like, yeah, let's do a pro. I was like, let's do it.
Nice.
And we just went through some basic stuff, but it was really good, right?
Cool.
It just gave me a bit of trajectory.
That's cool.
And anyway, been influenced by a lot of some of the cats there are very studious, and I admire that. And I'm like, all right, where do I sit with all this? So what I came up with is, well, Paul gave me some stuff to work on after that session. I've got some things I want to address. And I'm like, well, what makes sense? I'm like, well, let's go like 6 weeks. 6 weeks I'll work on one thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, how many 6 week periods are there in a year? There's 8. There's 6, 12. Yeah, right? So
Yeah, break it down.
Yep. So I'm like, all right, we got 8 6-week periods. I'm like, well, what are 8 things I want to work on? I was like, all right, well, mount. Let's work on mount. Okay, cool. And then let's work on back attacks.
Yep.
And so I just threw down these things. I didn't think about them too much. But I was like, all right, what do I need to do in order to make the most of that 6 weeks? Right. Well, I need to identify sort of 2 to 3 attacks or things that I'm trying to do, right? Like objectives from that position. Maybe it's a defensive thing, but 2 or 3 things I'm trying to do. And I also want to identify what my weaknesses are in that position already.
Cool.
Like say with the mount, I'm like, okay, mount seems fine, but I always get pushed off mount.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, well, I've got to come up with a solution for that.
Yeah.
So that's basically then outlines what my thought process is, okay? Identify where I keep up here, and then what are the 2 to 3 things I'm trying to achieve.
Excellent.
And so I just did the first 6 weeks, and it was mount.
All right.
And so this is what I was telling you where I mounted and
just smothering and
Marina.
destroying.
where it is, right? It's like every role I come into, not every role, because there's some people I'm like, I'm not good enough to, like, I got to just work.
You got to do whatever you can.
That's right. And if I happen to get there, great. But you know, if I'm rolling generally with someone who I have a strength or a skill advantage over, now's my chance to practice.
You're going to shape the role.
There's a savagery to that because you're like, I'm sorry.
We're doing what I want now.
I'm just going to mount you for this whole round because I'm working on this thing.
That's the game.
But it's funny, right? Like, I think all it's done is made me mindful coming into the role.
Yeah.
And I leave training and I'm like, it's actually really good. Like I've got feedback that I can consider and it's quality feedback.
Cool.
Because I went in and did something intentionally and it either worked or it didn't.
Yes.
So why was that the case?
Right. Analyze.
Yeah. Whereas before I like just go in and roll and whatever happened.
It wasn't a thoughtful process.
Yeah. There's nothing to take from that, right?
And so have you found that other than just thinking about jiu-jitsu more, that position is improving for you now?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even just that adjustment from, okay, I'm trying to work this mount thing. So rolling with certain cats and I get to mount, but they defend my attack.
Right.
But I persist.
Yes.
So I go again.
Yeah.
Oh, I lost the second underhook. Okay, let's get that second underhook back. Lost it again. Let's get it back. 4 minutes later, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can attack the armbar that I wanted. Whereas in the past, I would have been like, stop trying to do this one same thing. Like you're wasting all this energy. Just do something else.
Yes.
You know, go back to side control or take their back or whatever.
Yeah.
So the single-mindedness of it makes me like makes me practice that particular thing.
Yeah, and it keeps your attention on it, right? So you're maybe in a subtle way you're picking up things, even though it might not be conscious. You're conscious to stay there, but each time you're like, oh, I'll try that a bit different, or
Yeah.
and then eventually you get it. And
Why the f did I lose it that time?
yeah, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
a revelation.
It is. Yeah, it's really good.
Proud of you, dog.
Thanks, bruh.
That's
Thanks.
mad.
I'm using my mono journal. I write it in there.
Oof, look out.
Yeah.
Look out. Amazing. I'm excited.
Why's that?
We have an apparel sponsor, Parry Athletic. Such good gear, and it's incredible. I've been enjoying it.
Bruh, George came through, messaged us on the Instagram, said he's been following our program for ages. He's getting stronger and more mobile, and he's got this cool gear company called Parry, and he wants to send us some stuff.
And he told me that his mission was to create the best pair of training shorts ever.
Yeah, he wanted something that he could lift and roll in, and that could accommodate thick, muscular thighs and hips.
And that suits us.
Speaks to us.
Also, what I like is I love the colorful design. It actually looks really cool.
I am the most colorful dude on the mats these days, hands down.
Yeah, you get that kind of expression feel. A lot of other jiu-jitsu gear is kind of a bit boring.
Yeah, it's
By
all like
comparison.
grays and blacks and shit. This stuff is the color and the vibrancy.
It makes you stand out. And I think the thing that I've loved about it is just it feels good. It feels good. It looks good. And you, ladies and gentlemen, can get a discount when you go to checkout. If you go to parryathletics.com, when you go to checkout, put in the code bulletproof20 and you get 20% off. Oh, yeah. Well, God, that's huge. Well, can I take your lead then and say I did some learning on the weekend?
What'd you learn about?
I went to a Bobby Sandhu seminar.
Yes, you did.
Oh, look out.
Our veteran listeners might recall that JT said he would never attend a Bobby seminar.
True. And I thought about this, and I saw on Bobby's socials that he was doing a seminar at Garage Wollongong. And I thought, I go down there. I'm like, I like Bobby. I should support him. Like, why have I taken this stance, other than just being a prick? So I was like, no, like, I love the guy. Like, he's my dog. He's my boy. So I was like, I want to give him money. I want to learn what he's learned, right? And the interesting thing about the seminar was I think it was slated to be like closed guard and half guard. That's not really what it was. Like, that's Bobby has weird and wonderful ways to teach. It kind of became a little bit more like inversions to leg locks and then rubber guard. And I was like, whoa, all right, cool.
Same shit.
Yeah, so it's all the same. But the cool thing was Bobby has his approach that I've never been to one of his classes, right? So he has his own approach, and I can kind of see, I guess, in ways, hearing the way he talks, that I can see where he's probably maybe taken some delivery techniques from various instructors or whatever.
I like how he's actually presenting.
Yeah, and he's talking about a certain thing in a certain context, or like you've got to not commit your knee past this point, and we call this the low hip block. Or I'm like, okay, I haven't. All right, that must be a B-Team thing, or that sounds a bit more like a Danaher thing, Yeah. And so it was cool. And the interesting thing for me was I actually learnt more about, I felt like I got more from where Bobby started to talk about other factors that affect position. So he actually started talking a little bit about MMA, because he will regularly inject himself into Volk's training camp.
Yeah.
Because Craig's there. So he'll just show up. He even told me, he's like uninvited. Like, he's just like, yeah, I'm just part of the team, If Craig's there, I'm there. And then I'm just, and he's not a good size match for Volk's camp. You know what I mean? No. Like, he's huge, dude.
Volk's grappling with Craig Jones and Kevin Juzet.
Oh, man.
You're
massive.
You're like, bro. And he's hanging with him, right?
Of
but
course.
Like, these guys don't look like Ilya Topuria at all.
No, dude, they're so big. But anyway, it was great. Like, great seminar. Great to hang out with Bobby. Just chat to him about what he's doing. He's working so hard to get his money up and also keep his training up. And yeah, just really interesting.
You got to respect the
hustle.
The hustle, yeah.
To try to put himself at the top of the chain.
Yeah.
And he said something interesting, actually.
And all that travel and shit. It's all at his cost, right?
Yeah, he's paying it all, right? He's not like sponsored in the way that other top athletes are.
That Scramble sponsorship.
The
2 pairs of shorts you get per year.
Yeah,
Don't pay for
and
the
the
flights.
Shout out Scramble. We love Billy. We love you, Matt. Great brand. Shout out all the Scramble fam. But they're not paying athletes, right? And most brands can't afford to, you know.
Not the ones we know.
No, not the ones.
They might be.
Not the ones we with. I mean, I mean Parry. You know, they'll sort you out. Shout out George. No, but I think here's one of the things is that talking to Bobby about, because he also is doing comedy, right? And so he's talking about how 2 minutes of comedy is not like 3 minutes on the mic in comedy is like so brutal compared to like an hour of teaching jiu-jitsu where people want to hear what you have to say. And people get self-conscious about teaching, but we were talking about who's the best teacher at B-Team and who'd you learn from. And it was really cool to just, you know, just get his take on what's going on. And what he was saying is actually he will probably go and train at a different gym in preparation for the next ADCC trials because he feels that the training at B-Team is much more wrestling oriented. Like wrestle, takedown, pass, attack. There's not a lot of guard. I mean, people play guard, but he's like, I'm much more of a guard dude and I need more of that in my life to be successful. He's like, you know, how do you beat a guy like Isaac? Well, you're not going to probably out wrestle him. No. So this was an interesting thing. And so, yeah, it was good. I did learn some stuff. We did have a roll. He did catch me in a heel hook. And I didn't escape.
You tapped.
I did tap, and I tweaked my knee. I was doing the escape. I was doing the escape correctly.
Good job, Bobby.
But he bridged it. He's gotten stronger in position. Overall, I don't feel like Bobby is like much stronger. Like I don't think he's been lifting much. I don't know. You know, I've been giving him some advice, you know, just through messages and stuff. I've seen him doing some lifting, but in position, he has gotten stronger. Like, and he bridged into that bad boy.
No, every time I watch the clips he posts of like competition, I'm like, motherfucker looks strong.
He's getting on motherfuckers. Yeah. So shout out Bobby. But while I was there, I heard a very good story, and I have to share this story. Shout out Kate. Kate, I just want to step sideways here because Kate is also a big athletic woman, Amazonian almost. She's like 6'2", 6'3", ripped, like in very good form, surfs, trained for MMA, did a bunch. She told us a story about being attacked while at work. And I was like, what? Who would attack you? I wouldn't want to attack you. But she didn't get attacked directly. She had to step in and save her partner. So she's an arborist. So they cut trees, you know, lop branches that are unsafe and cut it up. And she said this is like midweek in a nice suburb in the like southern suburbs of Wollongong, I believe. Won't name the suburb.
This is a city that's south of Sydney.
South of Sydney.
About an hour south.
It's quite beautiful down there, right?
Yeah.
And she said they're in a rich suburb at like 8:30 in the morning. And they've got a big chipper. You know, they're cutting these branches and they're just doing their job. And she said that she was like, you know, earmuffs on, doing the thing, and just saw all these like witches' hats being thrown in the air. And she's like, that's weird. And so she works with her partner and he has a fused spine. So it's actually very dangerous for him to take knocks to the head because it could break, like it could sever his spinal cord basically because he's got no movement in his neck. Some random gym bro, and she said he was bigger than her, and she's a
tall human,
and said he like snapped one of the rakes through it and started like running up on her partner and was like hitting him and trying to grab him, and she was like, that. Because if he takes a hard knock to the head, it could kill him. So she just stepped in like, hey man, what do you, oh, you woke me up, dumb. And she was like, whoa, hey, it's 8:30 in the morning, bro. Like, we're allowed to work now. Like, we're just doing our job. It's like, you need to get the out. And she's like, hey man, you need to stay back. She stepped in. Now, this is where we need to talk about Ryan Walsh because he had taught some self-defense and had taught Kate to spar bare knuckle.
Ryan is her coach.
Head black belt
of Garage Wollongong.
And it was he was just sitting there.
Remembering that our listeners are not locals.
They may not know. Yeah, but we've mentioned him a couple of times, right? We've mentioned Ryan Walsh a couple of times. Anyway, not to worry. He was sitting there very calmly listening to the story. He's like, yeah. And me and Bobby were like bare knuckle sparring at jiu-jitsu, and he was like, yeah, well, you have to be much more accurate with how you place your punches, and you don't swing wildly because you'll hurt your hand. And she was like, yeah, so I was just thinking about like, you know, what the coach taught me. And so I just stepped in. I was like, hey, buddy, step back. And he just tried to lunge in, and she just went, bah, and just rocked his head back. But she said, but unfortunately, it didn't stop him. And he was just like a bit confused. And so she started like John Jones, like oblique kicking him in the leg. Like, hey, buddy, just back up. And this guy was like, just all full of testosterone and like wanting to come forward and kill. And clearly dude couldn't fight. He just kept lunging forward. So she just sidestep, just light him up every time. And she said that she had to do this maybe like 10 times. She kept going like, buddy, just f off. We're doing our job. Like, you need to chill, dude. And he's just like, oh, you stupid. And she's like, all right. Well, and the funny thing was, she was just talking about, she remembered this lesson about maintaining distance and like landing cleanly. And that's what she did. And she was hitting the dude with the 2-piece and soda boy. She was giving the Masvidal every time. Bit of John Jones, cha-cha in the leg. You get in too close, And she said her middle knuckle was starting to like swell up a bit. And there's like old people coming out, you know, like holding their coffees like, oh, what's this disturbance? What is this? She's like, could someone please call the police? Just having to light this guy up. And he was so persistent. And she just kept like dinging him. And then I think she either like moused his eye up or split his lip because he was like starting to lose a taste for the action. And then she said, hey, mate, they've called the cops. You need to f off. And he was like, and then apparently he let out this really weird, like, kind of laugh. And then like went to run off. But as he went to run off, his phone fell out his pocket. So he legged it 20 meters down the road and he was like, I got my phone. And then he kind of awkwardly ran back. You know when you forget your keys? You know when you say goodbye to everybody, you leave and I left my keys. So you have to re-enter the party and get the, it was like that. They're like, oh, thank God he's gone. And he just came back and was like, I forgot my phone. Gets the phone and then runs off down the street. And she saved the day, mate.
Wow.
And she was like quite pleased. She wasn't distressed. People were like, oh, are you okay? Did that man assault you? She was like, assault me? I assaulted him. I'm good. She was like so pleased with herself. So she like the first person she called was her coach, Ryan.
Oh, wow.
I maintained the distance. I kept my hands up. You know, I lit him up. It was so clean.
Coach would have been so proud.
And he was. And he was sitting there like quietly. Like he's a very humble guy. He's just sitting there like, yep, that's a good example of my teaching.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was actually concerned he might come back with like a car or try and run into them or whatever. But he's not going to go get his mates, is he? You know, he's like, oh, boys, I've just been up by this chick with a chainsaw. It's like, oh, you picked the wrong fight, buddy. You know, you should probably learn some things and not just attack random people. And so,
wow.
Yeah. Awesome.
She's a
purple belt.
She's such a gentle soul.
She's a lovely,
like it's funny to think, like I've seen her compete. I remember when we went to, Mies and I and Leo went to one of the A-Gig comps on the Northern Beaches. And she was competing, I think she ended up competing against Nicky in the final.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup. Nicky was on a heel hook spree at the time. But I remember seeing Kate like go through and like win her matches, and she's like, she's such a lovely, gentle person. It's funny to see those people, to imagine them in a moment of conflict, you know, but extremely physically capable. I can imagine she would have just been able to, you know, nullify this cat.
Yeah, and she's got that reach, right? She was like, oh, I knew he had longer arms than me. He was taller than me. He's stronger than me. So I had to just maintain the distance. And she was talking about using the oblique kick. And I was like, wow, oh, you're like Masvidal and John Jones combined.
Yeah, but without all of the
bullshit
history of abuse.
That too. I was like, you're the BMFF. You're a bad mother female. Like, I was like, wow, you are a champion. I asked her, could I tell this story? And she said, yes. I wanted to get her on the show to talk about it. But she's like, oh no, like she really like played it off. And I was like, dude, this is an epic story of self-defense. And I was like, were you tempted to like shoot the double, or like were you tempted to like guillotine the guy? She's like, no, I didn't want to end up on my back on the road, you know, right near the edge of the road. And yeah, and it was interesting to hear her thought process about just trying to keep this guy at bay. And she just kept doing the same thing, maintain the distance, lighten him up, and eventually he just didn't want that smoke.
How funny.
So good.
Like the 10th go is like, this is
I'm getting up. I got to stop just lunging.
It's like Joey just trying to get that underhook back.
Well, no, I think you're possibly a lot more effective than this guy. But it just seems
But there is an end point, isn't there?
But
where you're like, hang on a second. whatever I'm doing isn't working.
This is not effective.
Yeah, let's stop now and review.
Do you need to be punched in the head 20 times to know that? It's weird.
I guess some do.
Some do, but it's interesting because she said he was clearly very jacked, strong, like gym kind of guy, but just didn't know how to fight. She said he didn't even put his hands up. He just kept trying to lunge forward and grab her. It's like, dude, big mistake. But yeah, man, that was an epic story. And so it was like really nice to be down there with all those people doing jiu-jitsu. And it just reminded me it's so cool to stay connected to a community of cool people.
Yeah.
And so that was a beautiful thing.
How good.
Yeah.
You've got a good connection going on down at Wollongong Garage, huh?
Yeah, I pop down there. Like I don't go down there probably maybe once a month.
Yep.
Yeah, just get down there. It's always, the open mat's always really good.
Are you rolling anywhere else right now?
Yeah, I had a bit of a roll out at Gracie Baha in Penrith, actually. There's a gym out there. Shout out Jace. Lovely guy, just very inviting. Just said, hey, man, we've got the open mat. Come through. Actually, the connection is my boy Jack. Jack was in the same year as my sister. Anyway, I knew him when he was a teenager, being a knockabout kind of lad. He, funny guy, got into tattoo art, got into a bunch of stuff. Cool kid. I didn't see him for like 10, 15 years. I saw him at his first jiu-jitsu comp. I was like, Jack? He's like, what's up, man? He's like, it's my first jiu-jitsu comp. He was so pumped. I'm like, dude, yes, I'm so happy for you. Because I hadn't seen him in such a long time. And when I knew him, it was like different circumstances. So it was so nice to see him connected to Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And so he invited me to go to go train there. And then I'm going to go train at his gym at some point, which is GB Hawkesbury.
Okay.
So it's like my local area. I'm out in the west. And yeah, really cool.
Any of these a regular thing?
Yeah, like it's becoming more of a regular thing, I'd say. Like for me, I got my nights back, so if I can manage it, I'll go do it. I did visit out at Alpha Jiu-Jitsu, which was cool with Zave, and I'm visiting many different gyms, and so that's giving me an opportunity to meet and roll with lots of different people.
Yep.
So that's really cool, and so for me. I feel very privileged because even though I've had one or two people take a dig at me, say, oh, the guy who trains at more gyms than I've had hot dinners. I'm like, well.
Like who says that?
I don't know, people, and
who gives a shit, right?
Yeah, but no, apparently some people do. They're like, like you don't have loyalty. And I'm like, dude, I'm friends with everybody.
Probably like a 50-year-old that says that.
No, but I was like, well. Look, man, I don't know how many hot dinners you had. I mean, judging by the look of you, probably a few. But no, for me, I think I'm very lucky because I will always contact the instructor and be like, hey, what's up? Do you mind if I come train? I'm always going to pay that courtesy. Yeah. But people are pretty welcoming, generally in jiu-jitsu. They're like, yeah, just come train. So, yeah, man, I'm trying to get to some more open mats. Nothing super structured at the moment other than judo. I want to get that judo black belt. So the judo gym that's close to me is Kokoro. But they have limited classes because it's not like judo is not as popular as it once was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to do more stand-up in the gi.
You been in there yet?
Yeah. Been there once, twice. It's cool.
Sick.
But they got, that's the thing, it's dominated by kids. It's not like a real, like in the same way you have certain jiu-jitsu gyms have bigger kids classes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The instructor there is very much focused on developing the next generation, and so there's not as many adults.
Right.
So, yeah, man. Anyway, I'm just finding my way. I'm getting back in the flow, trying to learn some more.
How good.
Obviously, it's going to be very dangerous because Joey now has a method for learning jiu-jitsu as opposed to just brutalizing everyone. So,
right. If lets me mount him over. Just let me start.
Just start in mount. And then it's a game.
One roll. Let me start in the mount.
Okay. Well, I'll let you. Let's start there. Because here's the thing. I
don't actually want that. I don't think my attack's going to be effective.
This is my bad habit. I don't mind if people get mount on me. Like I'm actually pretty good with my defense from mount.
Yeah, I'm not a huge. I don't mind it either.
It's not good
unless it's someone that is actually like
really?
when Adam does.
Oh yeah.
Like oftentimes because you're copying pressure, right? And then someone mounts you and you're like, now they're just sitting on my stomach.
Well, but depending on the person.
Yeah, but then the cascade, like if they're good,
so much bad stuff can happen.
Oh yeah.
I would actually say the person, the worst mount I've been under is a guy called Shahar Khan, who
I know
was
him. He's Gracie Barra guy, was he?
No, I think
Back
he
in
was
the
a black
day?
belt. He was a black belt under Sinisek and Parosh.
Oh, was he?
And I don't know
Big
where he
dude.
is now. Big, strong guy.
Yep.
Had great stand up.
Looked like a dark-skinned Dolph Lundgren to me.
Yeah, I mean, athletic guy, handsome dude. Shout out, Shah. And bro, I remember one time I couldn't get out from under his mount for a whole 10-minute round. I survived, but holy shit, he fucking messed me up. I was like, no, I will refuse to give the armbar, refuse to give the choke. And he's like, okay, well, you're just going to die here, buddy. Anyway, didn't tap from there, thank God. But being there was possibly
Thank
one
God,
of the...
because tapping is worse than...
No, it was just...
itself.
No, but it was just... but in my head, I just had this thing that I knew he's really good at the cross choke from mount. Like, he
Right.
really had that as a skill. And I was like, I wonder if I can survive that.
Right.
And I did, but I kind of regretted it.
Yeah.
Like, you may have had that experience where you're like, no, I'm just going to grit my way out of this. And it was just actually worse than giving up in a way. But yeah, man, we should do it. We should do it. I'd love to experience the new improved Joey Mount.
Go on.
All right. We'll do it. Nice. Perfect.
There it is.
My guy.
Cheers,
Thanks,
guys.
Fone.
Thanks for the catch-up.